It's only worth it if you work for it. It's only worth it if you work for it. I won't stop till they hear me now. I won't stop till I wear the crown.
Hello again, and welcome to Raleigh Rob's Military Transition. Before we get started today, I want to show you a short video regarding military personnel records. Pay close attention.
As King 5's Taylor Murphy-Dureski reports tonight, George Aquinock went to war, he saw combat, but when he returned home, he says instead of getting thanks and support, he was shamed and forgotten.
That's George Aquinock at his mom's house, sitting next to his wife, who set up the camera. You can hear their daughter and niece in the background. That sigh says a lot. This 37-year-old Army veteran from Bremerton is about to open a letter that holds a life-altering decision.
And I was kind of dreading opening up the letter because I had this feeling that it was going to be bad.
So why were those papers in the envelope so important? Well, to understand, you need to hear some of his background.
It was a pretty intense combat deployment.
Aquinock was just 21 years old when he deployed to Iraq at the start of the invasion. He was an infantryman who saw frontline combat, including
This must be something big.
one of the high-profile battles of the Iraq War.
Yeah, that's when it really became surreal to me. I was like, oh my God. Saddam's sons are in that building. And we're fighting with them.
There he is in 2003, posing in front of the home where the U.S. military killed Saddam Hussein's sons, Uday and Qusay Hussein.
I had a counselor one time ask me, how much do I think about Iraq? And I told him I probably think about Iraq 70% of the day, every day of my life.
Back in America, 2 years later, Aquinock was leaving military service and received his discharge paperwork. But something was desperately amiss.
You looked at your paper that showed your military history, and it said you did not go to Iraq.
Did not go to Iraq, did not earn all these awards, and it was pretty empty.
That's right. There was a mistake on an important form. The paper veterans need when they go out into the civilian world to prove that they served. Instead of showing nearly 7 months of foreign service, his record showed he didn't serve overseas at all.
They just probably never updated the files for me.
And that wasn't all. After combat, suffering from PTSD and bipolar disorder, Aquinock says he turned to smoking pot to help him cope. That led the Army to kick him out for misconduct. So, without an honorable discharge, on top of that flawed paperwork,
Civilians started pointing out things that were wrong with it.
Aquinock says he had doors slammed in his face when he turned to the community for help.
They thought I was falsifying the documentation, that I was lying about all these combat experiences, and that basically that I was defrauding the VA to get benefits.
Aquinock says the poor treatment lasted 15 years. At one point, he even got a letter from a local veterans nonprofit denying him a service dog.
I would describe it as discrimination. My buddy, he had said that you wore a necklace of shame for 15 years.
Fed up with that shame, he appealed to an Army board to fix his records and to give his entire unit the medals they deserved for their accomplishments in combat. Which brings us back to the papers in that envelope. The board's decision 2 entire years after his appeal.
Does that mean you got everything? Did you get everything?
Everything and more. Aquinock was upgraded to an honorable discharge and given not 1, but 6 new awards, plus the credit for the months he served in Iraq. And he had his mom there to share in the celebration.
Did you get it, George?
They gave me everything.
Congratulations, baby. You got it for everybody, right?
Wow, guys, that was an incredible story, huh? Perfect example of why it's important to check our military records. Without further ado, let's go ahead and look at virtual MPF for a minute. We're going to go ahead and pull our records review rip that we can go ahead and look at our personnel military records and take care of any actions that might need to get taken care of. And I'll try to give you direction on how to check your records, because you got to check them against your permanent record as well. At the bottom left-hand corner under most popular applications, you should see records review /update. Go ahead and click on that. Sorry, guys. All right, once you get to this screen, you're going to go ahead and view and print all pages. Once you view and print out all pages, you should get something that looks kind of like this. It's going to have a lot of documentation, your individual data, current duty information, your duty history, your temporary TDY history, your assignment information, your overseas assignment history, your evaluations, your promotions, and your past promotions, your reenlistment eligibility status, and your awards and decorations, aircrew information, education and training, and service information. It's a lot of information to go through. There's going to be 4 key areas that we're going to look at today. We're going to look at your TDY history, your duty information, your awards and decorations, and we're going to look at your overseas data to make sure all those informations are correct. So I'm going to go ahead and pull this record review over. And we're going to go ahead and look at our, you're going to also go into AFPC Secure and pull up your PRDA record. And I'll see if we can clean this up by going into compatibility mode real quick. Maybe. I'm sure we deal with the daily struggle between all of us. The first thing I currently have up is awards and decorations. It's because it's one of the main ones that tell a story outright. So awards and decorations, it's very important that your ribbon rack is correct. Not because we want to spend more money on building a new rack, but to show the story of the rack. We all know that your rack tells a story. It tells your story about the level of awards you've gotten. It tells your story about the longevity of your career. It tells where you've been. It tells you if you've been deployed. It tells you sometimes if there's a specific medal for that campaign, where you've been. The Afghan campaign medal, the Iraq campaign medal. Those medals tell you that you were there. So if our Army guy, as an example in the video, had this on his ribbon rack, it's perfect proof that he was in Iraq and his records needed to be corrected. So take a look at this. The only items that you're going to see in here for in PRDA are going to be your actual awards. Hopefully I can get into AFPC Secure. Let's take a look. All your awards. So your commendation medals, your achievement medals, your MSMs, all those items are going to be in your PRDA record. So for the example of myself, we know that I have achievement medals, accommodation, Army Com, we got Air Force Commendation medals, and we got a Defense Meritorious Service Medal. So that should match exactly what I have in the system. So it looks like PRDA is not going to participate today. So if you're in your PRDA record, you want to go into the decoration section. You want to count down all these decorations, and it should match exactly what's in the PRDA record. If you got too many in PRDA, you need to go ahead and find out which one's extra. Take it to the military personnel flight or your commander support staff, that they can go ahead and update it in MilPDS. If it's not showing in MilPDS, but it's showing in your PRDA record, same thing. You want to go ahead and give a copy of that citation that they can go ahead and update it in MilPDS, and it's good to go. If it's not in your PRDA record, it's important that the MPF gets a copy of it, that they can submit it snail mail to AFPC, that they can upload it in your PRDA record, and your official records are up to date. Now, the other scenario is I don't have a medal at all. I know that I deployed and I know I received a medal at this location at this time. How can I get it? How can I find it? And how can I get it in my records? It's very easy. You need to find out where you received that medal. So if it was a PCS medal or a extended tour medal or a medal for achievement or those type of things, you need to request from the base records archives office to go ahead and look at that time frame in their orders log, try to find your name and see if there's a medal there. If it's there, they're going to get a copy of it, give you a copy of the order, and send it to you that you can include it in your military records. Once you obtain that from that base records management organization, you're going to send that to the military personnel flight once again, that they can go ahead and update it in MLPDS and push it to AFPC that it can be included in your PRDA record. Once again, that's your official record. So let's make sure we do that. It's a very easy process to take care of. Next, we're going to talk about your duty history. You'll notice under duty history, there's a hyperlink here. So if your military personnel flight or your commander support staff is not available or too busy, you can hit on this hyperlink and submit the source documentation to get your duty history updated. It's important that your duty history is updated for many reasons. One, to show your duty title and level of expertise that you're achieving throughout your career, but it also shows the installation that you belong to. So if you were at an overseas location that isn't covered under your duty history and it doesn't show up in your overseas data, this is an area that they can go ahead and fix your overseas data if it's here. If it's not here and it's not in your overseas data, go ahead and submit the source documents. It could be an EPR for the time that you were there, or OPR. It could be a declaration showing the dates that you were at that location, that it can get updated into your duty history. Submit those source documents to this link or go to see your commander support staff or military personnel flight, and they'll take care of this for you. Next, you're going to want to look at your TDY history. You're going to want to make sure every contingency deployment is located on this TDY history, because that's showing the areas in which you went to go for deployments, and it could be a big concern in the future if you don't have this on here. It'll also show all your TDY history for all overseas TDYs and all stateside TDYs. And then you want to look on your records to see if anything hasn't been inputted correctly. So normally you'll get this DFAS input awaiting MPF verification if the CSS or the military personnel flight didn't automatically project your TDY in the system. If it wasn't automatic, when you filed your travel voucher with the finance office, it flagged the MilPDS system with this error message. This error message shows that you need to go ahead and provide a copy of the order and a copy of the TDY, the voucher, to your military personnel flight or your commander support staff, that they can go ahead and validate that TDY that happened. It's a good thing I was looking at my military personnel record today, or I wouldn't have had this corrected. Why is it important to capture your TDYs? All this stuff is going to go on your DD Form 214 based on what's in the military personnel system. It's important that we know these locations because, for example, when you file your VA claim for your disabilities that you may have, or you wanted to file for the burn pit registry, they're going to want to know that you were in Southwest Asia and what time frame that you were there, that they can understand what your ailments are and how they were caused. So it's important that that's captured in your TDY history. So what if a deployment's not on here, but you have a deployment medal in your records? Is a medal good enough for your TDY history? Absolutely not, unfortunately. Unfortunately, you're going to need your TDY orders along with your paid voucher that we can go ahead and validate and input that information into the TDY history. So how do you get those records? It's going to be similar to the same way. You're going to want to call base archives and ask for the CED orders that you were on when going to that location. So you want to reach out to that base that you were going to your deployment from, and reach to their archives and get that information. Then we want to look at our overseas assignment history. The overseas assignment history is important because sometimes us as personnelists forget to go in and put a stop date for the area that you were assigned to. So like example, when I got here from Italy, my Italy stop date didn't change. I had to go request that my counterpart in the office go in and update my stop date to my date departed last duty station. And then that gives me the overseas credit that I needed for that overseas long tour or short tour. You'll see also that I had the Iraq short tour as well. Back when the rules were different, you had to serve just 180 days, and then you were going to get short tour credit for any tours in a deployed location. So I met the cut. Right after that, they started saying that you need a higher percentage of days. I think it's like 205 plus days of accumulative time over a 2 to 3 year period in order to get the short tour credit. And that's pretty much all I have for your records review. You just want to make sure that everything is accurate, especially your awards, your duty history, and your TDY history. All those items accumulate to go on your DD Form 214, that you don't have to be in the same situation that our poor soldier had to go through, waiting 15 years to get his records correct and get his medical conditions taken care of that he had after his very hard deployments that he went through. Thanks again. If you like what you saw, go ahead and hit the like button, subscribe, and hit the bell notification for that next video. Thank you for your time.